tuned. The show is about to begin.
Well, stay tuned. The show will be starting in about 3 minutes. So if you're listening to this on replay, you can fast forward past this spot. Just get right into the show because you can fast forward past about 2.5 minutes worth of the show and just get right into the show. So you won't have to hear me just talking. So we're getting things ready to go on the air, to be live with video. If you are new to a Fireside and the first thing you see when you see video is that it doesn't seem to fit the screen. If Jill seems like she's too close up, just pinch the screen down and it will come into frame. Just pinch the screen down and Jill will come into frame. But if you're live in the show, like the next time, when you're live in the show, there's a couple of things you can do. You can hit any of the 3 emojis across the bottom. So you can hit the laugh, the clap, or the party sounds. And you will hear it, and we will hear it, and the rest of the audience will hear it. If you want to make a comment or a question or even come to the stage, the easiest way to do that is to press the button that says ask. And then you question, and that's pretty easy to do. But if you know you definitely want to come to the stage, you can hit the mic. Looks like there's a mic on a stage with a spotlight shining on it on the right hand side of your screen, and you can hit there and make a request to come to the stage, and Jill will bring you up, which is pretty cool. If you want to make other comments, you can hit any of there's 4 emojis in the lower right hand corner. You can hit that, choose your emoji, type a comment, and press send. The show will be starting in approximately 1.5 minutes. So, like before, if you're listening in replay, you can fast forward past this spot and get right into the show, which is Wait With Me with Jill Cox Cordova, live on Fireside. Please stand by. The show will be starting in approximately 1 minute or less. 1 minute or less, and the show will continue or start.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Jill Cox Cordova, and I'm your host of Wait With Me. Well, actually, This is Wait With Me. I'm your host of another show too, but we'll get to that at the end of this show. Thank you. If you're watching this in replay, I appreciate it. Or if you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you all too. All right. So if you've never been to this show, this is the show where I talk about my triumphs and struggles, mostly struggles, of my weight loss journey. This is my way of holding myself accountable because talking to people openly about it really helps me. And welcome, Daisy, to the show. I see you. So hello, and hello to your family if they're around you as well. Before I get to the first segment, I always start with talking about how my week has been since you last saw me. And I've been busier than ever since you last saw me. Like, I don't recall being this busy this whole year because Tony and I, my husband and I, have had a lot of projects that we're working on at once. And I'm not a multitasker. I can work on many different things at one time, but it doesn't mean that I'm excelling at all of them. So something goes by the wayside. And lately it's been me who's gone by the wayside. So this week I'm not expecting good results as part of all that I've been doing because I have been mostly sitting and writing and reading and working on different projects and connecting with people. But that leaves really only time to go to sleep, and I'm not getting much of that anymore. I had gotten to a point where I was sleeping really well, and I took a nap today, which I normally don't even do, but I was really struggling to stay awake, and I didn't think you wanted to watch me sleep for a half hour, so I did it before the show started. All right, well, let's get into segment number 1, which I call This is the Deal.
This is the deal. This is the deal.
The show episode tonight is about when doctors give you diagnoses and they're wrong. Or at least that's been the case for me pretty much my whole life. My family tells the story of how when I was a baby, unable to talk, doctors kept telling them that I just had a cold, a bad cold. But they kept taking me back to the doctor, kept taking me back. And finally, someone recommended a pediatrician that we hadn't seen. And he immediately saw that I had pneumonia in both lungs. So as a baby, I had to be hospitalized and, go through all of that. And it made me, that's probably where it started, where I don't particularly care to go to doctors. If you are a doctor or part of the medical profession, please know I respect you and I respect your expertise. But it's usually an unpleasant experience for me to even go to the doctor. So often if I go, it's because I'm at a point where I'm in so much pain or it's really gotten to the point where I can't ignore whatever is happening. So then I go. And so often doctors get mad at me because they recognize that I've been sick for quite some time and I just now made it in. So the cold versus pneumonia diagnosis was wrong. I was born with really, really low blood pressure. So people's normal blood pressure rate is high for me. So when people tell me that, when medical professionals tell me my blood pressure is normal, I always look at the number because I know that if they're saying it's normal, it's probably high. I'm used to people like, well, I know you're breathing. I can't get a pressure, on you. It's usually that low. Also, I've had sleep issues throughout my lifetime, especially, well, I don't remember having it as a child, but definitely as an adult, to the point where I've been sent to do sleep studies. And if you've ever been to a sleep study, most of us know that you don't sleep while you're there because you're wired the entire time. And how comfortable is that? It's not. So usually I didn't get my sleep until after the sleep study was over. So therefore, they were never able to say that anything was wrong. But I always knew that something was, even if it's insomnia. But insomnia is a condition, and I wish I had some relief from that. Also, a while ago, many years ago, when my regular doctor was on vacation, her replacement didn't even like want to check my vitals, and she just took one look at me, sent me to have blood work as I requested, but was, I had to track her down to get her take on the results. But really, before I even left the office from taking the blood test, she told me I was pre-diabetic, but I wasn't back then. I wasn't. So I'm glad that my regular doctor returned and was like, "Oh, this just doesn't seem right." And she checked it again, and sure enough, I wasn't. But it's been in my file ever since that I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic a long time ago. But in reality, only recently was I even on the lowest number you could possibly be, and be labeled pre-diabetic. Now, things that happened that medical professionals got right were, for a while I was undergoing seizures on a daily basis, maybe even several times a day. And so I went to a neurologist for a long time, and actually it was her nurse practitioner who could see me the most often. And she really took her time with me every single visit. And she kept telling me that she thought that my seizures were because of stress, that they were stress induced. And she kept telling me to just quit my job. Now, unless you're independently wealthy, that's a tall order. And I was unwilling to do it at the time. In hindsight, I wish I had listened to her right away, because eventually, to stop the seizures, that's exactly what I had to do. I had to quit my job because it was too much. And then at the same time, she sent me to a specialist for seizures, and they kept me in the hospital for 5 days trying to recreate my seizures, induce my seizures. And they found, or they concluded that it was PTSD. And at the time, I thought, from what? I mean, I've gone through a lot, but I didn't think I was traumatized from anything. But I went to a therapist, and the therapist was right. They were right. The seizure specialists were right. I had been carrying trauma for many, many, many years at that point, probably 20 years at that point. And they took me through a specific type of therapy that enabled me to remember the trauma and go back to the root without reliving it, which I think is just incredible that the mind can do that, that you can remember something without reliving it. And I'm still fascinated by that. So I say all of this to say that, and I said this last week too, I know my body most of the time better than anybody. I often say when I do go to the doctor, I felt better before I got here because usually when I leave, they've given me so many diagnoses that I thought I was fine. So I want us all as people to have grace and empathy and compassion for others, because many of the things I think we as people are dealing with now are invisible disorders, invisible conditions that could really be bringing you down and you not know it. So I'm telling you, but I'm telling myself to pay attention. I think I had gotten to a point before I started the weight loss journey, where I really wasn't paying attention. I really wasn't paying attention to my weight. I really wasn't paying attention to how I feel. I really wasn't paying attention at all. I was just going through each day doing what was on my to-do list, and I was never on my to-do list. So I say all of that to say, pay attention to yourself, because you do know more than they do. They have to get your medical history from you. That's all I want to say. I just want to remind myself openly and out loud to pay attention, because chances are something is going on that if you just key into yourself, you may realize. You may not be able to diagnose it, because that's not I'm not a doctor. That's not my expertise. So I need some help with someone telling me what it is. But I guess in my case, I haven't always believed what they've told me. I just know that something's wrong. So I'm back to paying attention to see if that's the case. So this is the deal. All right. So segment number 2. Last week, my scale told me I was 129 pounds, which would have meant that I lost 20 pounds in 1 week. I really wish I had just done that, just had shown you that. But I know that this week I would have been really disappointed, because I know that that's not the right number, not even close at all. So what I do know about last week is that I took measurements before and took measurements tonight. And so I know that my chest is down a quarter, but my hips are up a half inch, and my waist is the same. So I'm pretty sure that whatever number comes up with the scale, and as soon as the show is over, we put new batteries in the scale. So I'm confident that the scale works. So I'm also pretty certain that whatever my weight was last week, that's probably what it is this week, since my measurements are so closely the same. So, but I'm also expecting my weight to be more than it was 2 weeks ago, because I've been so focused on the projects that I've had to do, that I've just been eating whatever, just whatever. I haven't paid attention